I gather water from the slopes and water rising from the grounds, shaping rocks and lands as I follow the paths guided by topography. I start from streams, which come together and form my flowing body. In the past, parts of me have been placed under the ground in concrete pipes, but today I mostly flow on surface, aligned to paths for humans. There's life that comes together with my presence. The plants around, the insects, the little animals, and the birds, they all have space to nest. Ahead, I see the lake, where the presence of a large road used to interrupt my flow. Today, the former seal grounds of this road host new communities, and I have space to cross. I reach the lake and form a delta, as when I met the open soil and the lake, a continuous habitat has been formed. The soil regenerated, and birds have space to stop in their migration, and thus their numbers have now increased. And people stop here to observe them, and children learn about these habitats by directly strolling them. I slow the streets and the lives of people around it, and I myself become a reflection of the weather and a place to be observed.
The Geneva-Lausanne Highway, initially constructed for Expo 64, created a significant infrastructure that entered the city of Lausanne, disrupting the natural landscapes, thus paving the way for further urbanizing the western part of the city. As I stroll along the transformed motorway around Bourdonnais, it contrasts sharply with my childhood memories. Back then, my mom would drive me to the lake as the high speed motorway made it difficult to access. Starting at the former junction, the cracking of the concrete roads made it possible to extend forest and habitat corridors, replacing the noise and pollution. Midway through Chavan, I witnessed the revival of cherry orchards and a space for organic storage to take care of the soil sustainably. The road is no longer just a thoroughfare for vehicles, but a hub for cultural activities in the community gardens, social events in the organic farms, and local markets in the neighborhood. Passing through Bourdonnais, I encountered my neighbors exchanging stories from their various climate adaptive and resiliency workshops. My walk continues to a viewing deck just before the roundabout, where I gaze at the lake, a serene vista replacing the chaotic traffic of the past. Finally, I end my evening walk near the wetland, watching birds in their natural habitat. The motorway, once an obstruction, unraveled new ways of connecting. In 2050, my walk is an interesting experience through coexistence with nature.
For me, a stork, Lake Geneva has traditionally been our summer breeding ground. Since the 50s, we have found it hard to be in this area. Our favorite wetlands are disappearing, and some of us also got sick after eating from nearby farms. Fortunately, at the turn of this century, a new island appeared and it helped a little. Now in 2050, our habitat has changed drastically. We notice there are more resting spots we can stop by, and they are all interconnected. There is even a new habitat in the middle of West Lausanne, where the motorway was. There is also a big forest in what used to be a complicated transportation junction area. Now there is a lot more room for us, and we can now hear our bird songs again. In the rivers, we notice the water quality has gotten better, and now there are a lot of fish, frogs, salamanders, and even beavers in the alluvial forests. No more are the incidents where I see fish and birds die out of eating too much trash. Circularity concepts, I heard, have become prevalent, and a lot of pollutants are no longer percolating into our food. As a whole, this area has become a lovely nest for us and our animal friends.
Reflecting on my childhood, I noticed large plots of commercial agricultural land where they used pesticides which degraded the soil. The networks of the community gardens were only distributed in the periphery of the city or within public parks. Now, in 2050, I live in Bassange, a highly dense neighborhood. I get my food from the local market, which has been sourced from the close-by organic farm for more than 30 years. After the old motorway was transformed, I could see new community gardens appearing in Vidi-le-Bourg, and they are collectively managed. As an effort to revive the soil cycle, the organic farms and community gardens organize a larger intercommunal organic waste management system and compost logistics structure, where I am an active volunteer. During the workshops, I can see the enthusiastic school kids who come to learn about it as part of their outdoor learning experience. This farm and the community gardens are a place of cultivation and care. Through our practices, we may find possibilities for organic farming and community gardens, often in between grey infrastructure, and serve for the well-being of the communities.
I am an avid rock climber and a recycling advocate. In 2023, my local gym was hard to get to, and recycling centers were also located far apart and in the fringe of the city. Now, rock climbing gyms are integrated into an interconnected regional park system. There are many outdoor or semi-outdoor facilities located throughout West Lausanne where former industrial complexes were reused as social spaces. I can ride my bike from one social hub to another. A social hub I frequent is a recycling center called Point Blue, a shop in Chevin-Prélonot. They resell everything. 20 years ago, Point Blue was hidden because the motorway cut it off from the rest of the community. Now Point Blue is mixed with sports hub, lounges, and restaurants into one facility. These interconnected social hubs have become a community magnet for us. Sometimes we would go there to work in a lounge for a few hours and climb a little. Then I might drop by along the way to scout new finds in the recycling shops, to take part in gardening or craft reuse workshop, or in a support group at Point Blue. All these interconnections let me have chance encounters with other people. I really enjoy the social connectivity and shared practices.
I go to the coolest school ever. Our lessons are outside. We start in the morning with a hike into the forest. It's the best part. We don't rush when we see frozen raindrops or muddy hills. Instead, we stop, observe them closely. Sometimes we slide down the hills. It's so much fun. Our classroom is like a big open hut and the benches are in a circle. There's no roof so that we can see the sky. Every day is different because the forest keeps changing. We learn from and inside the forest. Once we found holes in trees and learned all about animal homes and hibernation. Last week, we learned about soils in the recycling factory. Our teacher showed us how to compost, turning waste into rich soil used for growing food.